Hey everybody, Dr. Crocker here. Um, how are you doing? We are on Module 4. Module 4 is on Chapter 3, which is our carbohydrates. You have your lecture that you're looking at right now, and then your PowerPoint that you can download, and then your readings from Chapter 3. You have the usual suspects here. You have your discussion, then you're going to write your 5-sentence brief, and then the 3 mind tap activities, the Global Nutrition Watch, video quiz, and then your post-test. So let's get right into the first one, which is your discussion. So the discussion, we have Dr. Halberg. Dr. Halberg is going to present on the No GPS plan. On the very first prompt, you're going to provide what that means, is it the No GPS plan. Then you're going to go to the textbook and provide the rationale supporting eliminating GPS from her presentation. So if you go to your textbook, which is, that's the PowerPoint, excuse me. So our textbook is going to be, let me click it. Apparently I didn't do that. Let's go ahead and click it, and then we're going to load it. Just give it a moment and it will load up. Just like anything, when you go over to MindTap, you just have to give it a moment to load up. So here we are. On the left right here, you can see here's everything on Chapter 3, but let me show you what I prefer to do. Come right over here to the full textbook. In your table of contents, excuse me, my thing is in the way there. Move that out. In the table of contents, put that down there. You just go right here to Chapter 3, and it will simply list everything that's on Chapter 3, and it'll let you scroll through each page. So for that first prompt, take a look at the health effects of sugars. It has a lot of good information on there that you can pull into that discussion. And if there's anything in here that you cannot find, just use an outside source. That's fine as well. Okay. And then the very next prompt is, it says review section 3.5. Okay, so let's go this right here. Why do I keep doing that? Go to section 3.5. And again, we can go right here. And section 3.5, the health effects. Right here, 3.5, health effects. Just go right in here. Oh, it's just stopping on me a little bit. There we go. And then you can grab all the information here. Just choose, let's see what it says. So the health effects, select one disease and provide the role that carbohydrates plays in prevention and or management. So from all of these diseases that are listed here, we have heart disease, diabetes, GI, cancer, weight management. Select one of those, read about this, and then simply provide the content addressing that. And then number 3, have a little fun. Grains are deleterious for those with celiac disease, right? We're in NF19. A lot of this is review from NF15 until we get to right here. This is where you're going to start overlaying that information to provide the nutrition therapy. So when you have a person with celiac disease, and again, this is in chapter 19, share the nutrition therapy for the patients with celiac disease. And then you're going to compose or write a meal plan, write a breakfast, write a lunch, and a dinner that is compliant for the celiac disease. So let me show you how to navigate that in our textbook. Okay, again, I like to just go into the full book. Don't know why I just closed that. Go right here, and then chapter 19. Scroll down, you'll find celiac disease right there. Bam, here's all your information. So just go ahead and read about all of the celiac disease. Here's a gluten-free diet. Whenever you're presented anything like this that you can't fully read, hit the plus, and then it will show you everything that is on here. Okay. And let's see what else. Then you're going to embed your regular picture, and this one is going to be incorporating the No GPS meal plan. Strategies such as a recipe you are inspired to share, provide a brief explanation as to why you selected the picture and relevance. Then you're going to provide a minimum of 2 posts, and it should compare and contrast your number 3 plan with your classmates. So you're going to compare and contrast your meal plans with your fellow classmates. Okay, The very next thing that you're going to do is the 5-sentence brief. I give you a lot of information here on the grains of truth. Make sure you read all of that. And then you're going to provide in exactly 5 sentences your strategies for incorporating the best practices of the grains of truth. And then you're going to provide your picture, an illustration that you're inspired to share based on your statement. Provide a caption for that picture. You're going to do it on a single document, Word, PDF, Google Doc. And remember to use correct punctuation, spelling mechanics, and always provide your APA reference. The very next thing that you're going to do is you'll do the Global Nutrition Watch. This is in MindTap, so you have to click that button, give it a moment, and it will load. What this will do is present you with an article. Once you click Start Assignment, you will be given an article to read, and then you'll be asked up to 3 questions to answer just on that article. The very next assignment that you're going to do is the video quiz. The video quiz, click on the button, it will load. You'll watch the video. On the video quizzes, you answer up to 3 questions just on the content presented on the video. So you can see it's just taking a moment to load here. I'm showing you this because I got a few Canvas emails asking about the loading thing. Just be patient. I always recommend Firefox or Chrome. So you'll watch the video and then it will present the questions. And then the very next thing that you're going to do is you're going to do your chapter test. So you just click next, then the same thing, and let it load. Now what I'm going to do for just a moment is I'm going to stop sharing, and this is where I'm going to give you your test tips on this quiz. So let me grab it on my end. There's 15 questions. It is not a timed test. Feel free to use your notes, use your textbook. And so here we go. Make sure that you know the pair of monosaccharides that make up disaccharides. You also want to know an unripe banana are considered which type of fiber? Unripe banana, what type of fiber is that? In the large intestine, right? That's your colon. Bacteria digest many of the soluble fibers to produce what? The hormone produced in the pancreas to raise blood glucose levels is called what? Remember when the glucose is gone? Which hormone goes on? Which disorder is characterized by elevated blood glucose resulting in insufficient insulin? Now remember, you want to know the difference between type 1 and type 2 diabetes. These are both covered in the textbook. Know which organ stores the greatest amount of glycogen. Which organ stores the greatest amount of glycogen? And then you're going to have to apply this information, and you're going to read some statements, and you're going to identify which statement by your client indicates that the client needs further instruction. So how they're processing that information, that's critical thinking. Your client, your client is Larry, is attempting to limit added sugar. We're going to give you some breakfast foods, and you're going to decide which one has the least amount of added sugar. Food labels is another one. You're going to decide which ingredient does not indicate the presence of added sugar. All of that is in your textbook. The AMDR, acceptable macronutrient distribution range for carbohydrates. You're going to calculate this based on an 1800 calorie diet and then convert it into grams of carbohydrates. Remember, there's 4 grams of carbohydrates for each calorie. And then which diet is most likely to prevent or delay the onset of type 2 diabetes? Tim is trying to eat an adequate amount of fiber. You're going to look at lunch menus, and you're going to pick out which menu has the most amount of fiber for him. And then you're going to be given a list of foods. You're going to decide which one has the highest glycemic index. And then you're going to look at a series of factors, and you're going to determine which factor is least likely to influence the GI index value of food. And then people with health conditions might benefit from limiting high glycemic food. Which individuals, which health conditions, okay? Now let me share with you one last thing here. And we are going to go to, I'm going to share that for a moment and go right over here to Oh, our PowerPoint. So let's just do this real quick. The PowerPoint that's available for you to download on chapter 3. Remember, a lot of this is a review from NF15, and I left this in our course so that we have the opportunity to revisit all of that. The biggest thing about carbohydrates is they're the preferred source of energy for your brain. Carbohydrates are incredibly important. I hear people all the time tell me they don't eat carbs. I'm like, yes, you do. Guess what, friends? If it's not an animal, it's a carbohydrate, right? If it's a plant, it's a carbohydrate. The only exception is dairy. That is also a carbohydrate, okay? And then we talk about monosaccharides, disaccharides, and polysaccharides. So monosaccharides are just that single molecule. The disaccharides are two molecules that are put together. And then polysaccharides are the starch and fiber, which are many saccharides put together. Glucose, so that's a monosaccharide, is glucose. Fructose is another monosaccharide. And galactose is your third monosaccharide, so there's 3. Now, when you put those together, they become disaccharides. Every disaccharide has a molecule of glucose. So sucrose is a molecule of glucose plus what? Fructose is what's making sucrose. Lactose is glucose plus galactose. Maltose is glucose and glucose, so it's glue and glue. All right, and it has some information here about lactose intolerance. Go ahead and read that. Here it is in pictures. And then the polysaccharides, those are many different molecules all put together. That's starch, glycogen, and fiber. Now, glycogen is also the storage form of glucose in your body. It is also minorly found in the food supply. The biggest polysaccharides that you will eat in the food supply are either starch or fibers. Okay, and then also know this, right? Glycogen is stored in the liver and muscle. Most of it is in the muscle. Remember, that's from your quiz. Here's some pictures of all of that. Polysaccharides, there's 2 different kinds of fibers. There's soluble fiber and then there's insoluble fiber. I also teach this class that we have functional fiber. Functional fiber is what you find in like Skinny Cow, where our chemists are putting fiber in ice cream. And then this is how you regulate blood glucose. It's insulin and glucagon, okay? When you eat, your glucose levels are going to go up because you just ate. This is when insulin comes on. When insulin comes on, it reduces the glucose levels and to shoot the glucose into your cells where it is needed for energy. When glucose is gone, glucagon comes on. Glucagon is what is going to make glucose when any of that is low. And then and that comes from our glycogen, right? Remember, the majority of glycogen is stored in the muscle. Here are some health effects of sugar and sugar alternatives. We talk about added sugar. Make sure you know the difference between added sugar and naturally occurring sugar. They also play a role in dental caries, right? Those are cavities. And here's some more information. Reduced intakes of added sugar. This is how you do it. Make sure you read this because that is also in the chapter quiz. Here's some equivalents. Here is a glossary of added sugars. Make sure you read this. Make sure you're familiar with what an added sugar is. That is in the chapter test. And here's some samples. Nutrients and sugars. And here are sugar alcohols. In other words, are fake sugars. Sugar alcohols is something that is found in gummy bears is how I like to share it. So if you eat too many gummy bears, your GI is going to be in huge discomfort and you're going to have diarrhea because of the amount of sugar alcohols that are in gummy bears. Okay, they briefly talk about PKU. Let's see, approved non-nutritives. Recommended eat generous servings of starch and fiber-rich foods. So the big deal here is fiber-rich foods. Help reduce the risk of, look at all of this, obesity, cancer, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, dental caries, GI disorders, and malnutrition. Friends, eat your fiber. Eat your fiber. Here's some more information on heart disease. All of these are going to be fiber-rich foods. And then we have disease prevention, right? That's what you're also going to address in the discussion. Weight management. Harmful effects of excessive fiber intake. Now, mind you, this comes from when you're taking fiber pills. I'm not a fan of fiber pills. We are always a fan of eating whole fiber, which is in our whole foods. Make sure that you're also drinking water. Okay, let's see what else. Here's the AMDR, acceptable macronutrient distribution range, is 45 to 65%. Remember, that is in that chapter quiz. So you would simply take your caloric budget in that question. It was 1,800 calories times 45%. And then that will give you the amount of calories that you should consume from carbohydrates. You will then divide that by 4 grams per calorie. Alrighty. Let's see if there's anything else in here. Food labels. There is a food label question on here, so make sure you cover that. Glycemic index. There's a couple of questions on the glycemic index. The big deal here is on low glycemic index foods, right? Those are things that have higher fiber in them. So foods that are digested slowly have a low glycemic index. That's what you want. Those are fiber foods. Those that cause a gradual and moderate response to blood glucose. That's this right here. That's like eating an apple versus drinking a Pepsi or a Coke, you know, one of those sugary sweetened beverages. And friends, that is it. That brings us to the end of our time together for Module 4. Wishing you a very beautiful week. If you need anything from me, please always just send me a Canvas email. I am good for it. Look forward to hearing from you. Always love to help you. Take care. Enjoy your carbohydrates.